Well, look, just on spending, there's also calls for the Australian government itself to lift its defence spending to about 3.5% of GDP. I think that's roughly an extra $40 billion per year. Do you think the government needs to spend more on defence?
Well, I mean, Edward, the events that have happened in the last few hours with Israel having a preemptive strike on Iran shows us that the world's a fairly dangerous place. Clearly, there are massive tensions in our own area from a Chinese perspective with Taiwan. It's quite clear that we need to have that insurance policy, so therefore expenditure on defence is the way we achieve that insurance policy. Now, whether 3.5% or whatever the number is the number that we need, we'll have to leave that up to the Albanese government to determine the best expenditure for Australia. I think we're at about just over 2% right now, with a view to get to somewhere about 2.3% in about 5 years. I don't think that sounds right, but whether it's 3, I don't want to comment. But of course, the other aspect of that is it's all right for the government to turn around and say we're going to spend an additional $40 billion of taxpayers' money every year. We actually need to have an industrial base that can actually deliver and put in contracts to take that money.
Yeah, and just on that industrial base, I mean, how difficult is it for Aussie small and medium-sized businesses that are in the defence sector? How hard is it to become a supplier to the Australian Defence Force?
Look, these things are always complex. It is not an easy path to tread to become a supplier into defence, but in many ways, nor should it be. Defence has cutting-edge equipment and very complex projects that it's trying to undertake. But it is absolutely not impossible. The reality, of course, is that you need to be diverse. You need to ensure that you have the best capability possible, and you need to make sure that you are ready to actually take on a defence contract. It's difficult. And certainly from a small to medium enterprise perspective, it can be very cumbersome to get into the defence marketplace. But the reality is, once you're into that supply chain, it is a very good commercial output for Australian companies.
And those Aussie companies, if they can't get into the Australian defence supply chain, do they go overseas? Do they look elsewhere at other markets?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, we often say Australian defence industry. Well, defence industry is just industry. And the people that are running those industrial sectors are commercial people in themselves, so they are always looking to diversify their markets. At the moment, the United States has a capacity problem. We know they have a capacity problem. So the United States should be a place that Australian companies look to supply their wares into. The same with the UK. So a smart businessman will try to diversify their offering globally to friends.
Brent Clark, Defence Industry Specialist. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.